Hello class, welcome to week 7 where we introduce module 4 on clustering. This will be the first part of a 2-week lecture for this module. Just a real quick reminder though, you're in week 7, which means you're about halfway through the semester, so good on you for keeping going. Announcements for this week. First is that assignment 3 on similarity is now due. That is due today or this week. I'll note, though, so far no one has submitted any of their articles to Medium for the first 2 assignments. Now, like I said before, in principle, this is fine, considering that we are not having any sort of late fee or late penalty if you submit your story after the deadline, but I would caution you about waiting to the last minute to do these articles. First, if I read one of your articles and it's particularly problematic, I might come back to you and offer you the opportunity to change or update things. But if you have waited to the last minute, then you lose that opportunity. There just won't be enough time to address these issues. Secondly, you don't want to wait until the last minute of the semester because you have a lot of stuff going on then anyway. So I would encourage you to try and get at least 1 or 2 of these articles done, given that this week is Article 3 due as well. Regarding the semester project, all of you have submitted your data collection reports. That's excellent. I'll get your feedback to you shortly, definitely by next Wednesday, but hopefully within the next 24 to 48 hours. So be on the lookout for that. So you have now reached the point where you should have data that you can build on for your project, and you should be moving into the analysis phase for your next part of the assignment or your next part of the semester project, which is the intermediate report, where you get to talk about how much analysis you've done, what results you've been able to extract so far, any pivots you've had to do in order to extract some meaningful and actionable insights, because that's ultimately the goal here. So that's due in 3 weeks. The assignment for this, or the outline for the intermediate report, is available on Canvas already. I'll note the way that we'll grade this will be, or in general, is a little bit different, where I don't just review your report, I also share it with your fellow students in the class who are not in your group, and they have the opportunity to look it over and evaluate. Given the small class size this semester, we'll see if that'll be done or how well we'll do that in addition to my feedback. But you'll have the opportunity to express what progress you've done, why people should be interested in this, and what worked and what didn't so far, and what your ideas for improvement will be. So that's it for the semester project and assignments. So in this week and this module, we're going to talk about clustering. So the first part of this module, that's this week, we're going to talk about hierarchical clustering in particular. And when we talk about clustering, we'll talk about how we can represent aggregations of points or clusters of multiple points. What does this mean when you try and evaluate which cluster is the closest cluster to a given point? Then I want you to be able to talk about distances between clusters. So for this second learning objective, it's about comparing points to clusters because you need to know which cluster a particular point belongs to. In this third objective, we want to talk about how you evaluate distances between 2 different aggregates of clusters. Are we looking at distances between the cluster centers? Are we looking at the average distance between all pairs? Some of these are more computationally complex than others. And then lastly, we'll talk about defining stopping conditions for clustering in general. When do you know that you are done or have identified all clusters? Partially, this is some finesse or some qualitative evaluation of your clustering, but there are definitely ways to develop hard stopping conditions. Some obvious ones, like, well, once you have divided all the data into 1 cluster for every single point, maybe that's 2 mini clusters, or you've grouped all of the points together into 1 cluster. So again, that may be too few clusters. So you're going to look at some place in between. What does this stopping condition look like? And then from there, for next week, we'll talk about k-means clustering in particular and how k-means operates to identify clusters. We'll talk about strategies for creating initial clusters in k-means because there's some randomness component here. And then we'll talk about strategies for evaluating or identifying the k value. So when we talk about k-means, this means we're going to look at k different clusters in our data set. So how do we choose this k? And there are some ways to do that. As always, there's a discussion forum for this module, so you're welcome to post any questions you have there on Canvas. That sort of sets up where we're going to go for the next couple of weeks. For next week in particular, though, so make sure you've read Chapter 7 on clustering. Hopefully you've read at least a majority of that by this week. But no, this week is primarily 7.1 and 7.2 here when we talk about clustering and hierarchical clustering. Make sure by next week you've read at least 7.3 to talk about k-means clustering. So that's what we'll talk about. There is an assignment 4, which I'll talk about next week. And this is due in about 4 weeks from now. And it's all about using clustering techniques that you have available. The kinds of clustering you may do are available or provided for you in scikit-learn if you have familiarity with Python. There are lots of ways you can do clustering. Clustering is a whole sort of segment of algorithmic evaluation in data. So there's lots of opportunities to explore clustering techniques on different kinds of data here. And then note your intermediate report is due 3 weeks from today, so you should be working on that as well. If you have any questions about any of this, I'll have office hours this week on Thursday. You're welcome to come to those or send me a question or post a question on the discussion forum.